Shabbat Shalom. Yesterday afternoon, I was sitting in my office and writing, and Rabbi Schwartzman came in. Oh, you're working on your sermon. What are you going to talk about? And I told her what I thought was important to talk about this Shabbat, and she, perhaps getting a little too comfortable here, said, Rabbi, that's a lot to take on. And so if you don't see her today, it's because she's looking for a new work elsewhere. No, she's with Chavra and the kids all day today. But she's not wrong. There's a lot happening in the world, and I think this might be a first for me. If you use the Apple News function on your phone, Ken, that's if you have an iPhone. But you swipe to the right, and it's got 4 news stories, and at least for me, this week, most of the time, every single one of them was about Jews, right? In the news, like not just for me in my algorithm, but there's a lot happening, and we are quite prominent, not only in the national news, in the international news, and in local news as well. And a lot of what has been happening, to me, seems like there's this question hinging on what does it mean to be a part of the Jewish people? And now this is the question that was literally being asked at the school board for people who sort of are up on this issue or not. I'm not going to give you a whole rundown of it, but Ken Kravitsky was there and has watched all of them, and so find him at Kiddush, and he'll explain everything to you about exactly what it was. But basically, in the course of talking about the school district's policies on equity, there came this question of where do the Jews fit into that schematic, right? And some words were said of questioning where Jews fit in the racial. What are we white? Are we not? Are we this? Are we that? And then also, this is the part I didn't write down because I wasn't going to say it, and I'm just going to glide right over it because I really, without making any political statements. If you watch what former President Trump said to a bunch of Jews earlier this week, and just listen to the inherent assumptions about who is and who is not a part of that group, who is and isn't a Jew. Again, I'm not making value statements one way or another. I don't want to lose my tax-exempt status in any way, shape, or form here. But again, just the assumptions about what it means to be a Jew was very much at the heart of what he was saying. And you can go back and listen to that for yourself. And there really are 2 ways of sort of identifying with the Jewish people, and they're both front and center in the parsha that we read this morning. So the first one is that when a Jew, an Israelite, brought their first fruits to the temple, they would stand up and they would make this declaration, right, that they are a part of the Jewish people. So right there we see, by the way, one of, if not the first moments in the Torah where an Israelite positively affirms their role in the Jewish people, right? Being a part of this, not just sort of, if you want to get out of Egypt, follow this guy, right? But actually saying, I am a part of the Jewish people. And what they say is, Arami Oved Avi. This will sound familiar from Pesach. Right? My father was a wandering Aramaean who, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what is one of the sort of ways into being a part of the Jewish people, according to this part of the book of Devarim? Being a part of the Jewish people through ancestry of some kind, right? That it is being a people. Saying my father was a wandering Aramaean is not about ideology, it is not about belief, it is not about what you do, it's about what people you identify with. And by the way, many of our classic commentaries on that verse go out of their way to say you don't have to be born into the Jewish people in order to say, my father was a wandering Aramaean. Right? It is not only a genetic thing, it's about identifying with a people. And so if you say to yourself Those people that the Torah is talking about are my people. Those people in the news, these people, right? Whether you believe whatever you believe, you do whatever you do, but if you identify with this group of people, you're a part of the Jewish people. Then, as the Torah continues in our parsha, we get to the blessings and the curses. And the final curse levied against the Jewish people, if you don't do all these things, is Arur shelo yakim et Torah zot la'asot. Right? If you don't, the cursed is the one who doesn't uphold the Torah in order to do it. And this is a wholly different kind of being a part of the Jewish people. This has nothing to do with ancestry or peoplehood. What does it mean to say that you're cursed if you don't uphold the Torah to do it? What are we talking about now? Belief, practice, ideology, religion, right? This is to say that there is a part of what it means to be a Jew that has nothing to do with where you're from. It has nothing to do with what you look like. It is all about what you believe and how you practice. If you act like a Jew, if you think like a Jew, if you believe in the Torah, you're a Jew. And both of these kinds of belonging to our people are important. They are both active for us today. And they're neither one, frankly, is easy. And both come with their detractors. I think we've talked about this once before over the year, but it's okay if you forgot. Dara Horn writes in her book, People Love Dead Jews, about two different kinds of anti-Semitism. Right? She writes about Purim anti-Semitism and Hanukkah anti-Semitism. What's the difference between these? In Purim, Achashverosh wants to kill all the what? Thank you. Yes, Jews is the right answer. It's all okay. It's always the right answer when you say kill all of the. Okay, so, and why? Just because they're Jews. It doesn't matter if they're practicing, it doesn't matter what. It's just they are ethnically, whatever their identification is, they're Jews and they need to go. According to the Hanukkah story, right, Antiochus and the Greeks, what do they want to eliminate? Jewish practice, right? Theoretically speaking, if you look in the Hanukkah story, right, if a Jew was willing to say, oh, I'll just be a Hellenized Greek, it's okay, don't worry, I don't want to do any of this Jewish stuff anymore, they were fine. That's not what people were worried about. It was just about Jewish practice. So there are two kinds of anti-Semitism in the world. I'm sure there's more, but there's two kinds to talk about here, right? One is a hatred of Jews because just they are Jews and who they are. And another is something about Jewish belief, Jewish practice, Jewish ideology, and a hatred of that. And both, unfortunately, are alive and well in our world. And it's important when we're thinking about anti-Semitism to identify which one is which. And we can talk another time about where they're coming from and which one is which. But to think through that when we think about what it means to engage with anti-Semitism, to fight anti-Semitism, to combat it, to protect ourselves, right? What kind of anti-Semitism are we talking about? The other thing that's important about both of these identities, being a part of the Jewish people because you are part of the Jewish people and peoplehood, or becoming a part of Jewish people because of practice, ideology, and belief, according to the Parsha, each one of those comes with a positive declaration of belonging, because each one of those is a choice today. In the past, maybe the first kind wasn't so much a choice. If you were born into the Jewish world, you were ostracized as a part of the Jewish people and you couldn't really get out, right? And today, even if you look like this, you could still probably go pass as a non-Jew somewhere if you really needed to and wanted to. So being a part of the Jewish people is a choice, a positive choice that we make every day. And being a part of Jewish practice and Jewish belief, we know in a world where the fastest growing identifier in the Jewish people right now is Jews of no religion, right? Jews who just say, I am Jewish, but I don't do anything, right? We know that that is a choice, and a choice that we all make. And so as we think about Rosh Hashanah and this mood of what do we want to be in the year ahead, I want to ask everyone to take a second and think about these two kinds of Jewish identity, peoplehood and practice and belief. And where do you fit? Maybe where did you fit in this past year? Where have you fit for most of your life? Right? Did you join the Jewish people? And by the way, I mean that. Did you join the Jewish people, whether you're born into it or not, because you've made a choice to join? Right? Do you join because of an identity of peoplehood or because of an ideology and practice? And if it's one versus the other, how can you do more for the opposite? Because the other thing that both of these have in common is that of communal responsibility. The curses, the rabbis tell us that Josh read so well earlier, they come on everybody together, right? Not on an individual. It's about rain, and the rabbis say it's not like it rains on my lawn but doesn't rain on your lawn, right? It rains for all of us. It's a collective punishment or a collective reward. And so even if we're talking about ideology, we are all bound together in this ideology. And if we're talking about peoplehood, then of course we are all bound together in this peoplehood. So as we go into a new year, what is going to be your identity? Why are you here as a part of the Jewish people? Do you need to step into the belonging of what it means to be a part of us culturally? Do you need to step into the belonging of what it means to be a part of us ideologically, religiously? And how can you and all of us take pains this year, because it's going to be important this year, to ideologically, to as a people, be beholden to one another, look out for one another, and be concerned for one another, as we are all wrapped up together in what it means to be Jews. Shabbat Shalom.